So I just want to say I love that burgundy color, and so I have a lot of lipsticks that have varying shades of like maroon and burgundy. It's a thing for me. Okay, so my channel is called a Neo Nubian Nuances, and the reason is because I am in fact black, and that area that we refer to in terms of your ancestry for that means that you get to be called Nubian. I just love everything about it. And so in terms of in terms of neo, meaning new, you know, for us to get back to who we were before slavery, I think that's something that would be definitely helpful. So when I think about things, I try to bring the thing that people are missing, the viewpoint. That means that we're looking at it without the damage from slavery, because that's not who we are. That's something that was done to us. With that being said, um, this video today is me talking about something that I think was done to us. Now, we as a culture have the power to choose whether or not we're okay with single parenthood, whether we want to say that yes, it's something that we are capable of doing and we know how to do. And I think that that should be included because we have that. My overall goal, though, is for us to not, because I do in fact believe, and I've always believed before I even became a single mom, that the kids need to be able to see both. Whatever kid it is, if it's a son or a daughter, they need to be able to see the roles of mom and dad, man and woman, as they are an adult, what to look forward to, and what the other gender should bring to you. In terms of marriages in the past, we had well, not we, but the world had a thing called arranged marriages. And the reason for that was because if your parents raised you in certain value systems, they wanted to make sure that whoever you married, because you would be bringing them into the family with them, and if they survived and you're an adult that is prepared for marriage, then that means they did a good job because you didn't die, and that you are in fact available to be married. They also wanted to make sure that the person that you were married to came from the same type of value system. Now, there are workarounds to that. There are some arranged marriages where the kid is sent off as very, very young, so that then they're raised into the family that they're going to be a part of. And I think that those things prevented what we have now today. I don't like it when I see a person arguing and in direct opposition to their in-laws. But I also would be a hypocrite. I would be remiss if I did not mention the fact that we do have some disrespectful in-laws. These are people who were not raised appropriately to respect marriage and what it means. Marriage is the family that you choose, you picked, because it has some benefit for you, or you can provide some benefit for it. Your parents need to understand that. And if they have faith that they raised a person to adulthood that is going to do the right thing, then they need to be able to let go. And if they didn't, then they need to accept that loss, take that L, and let go anyway. When I say let go, I don't mean just throw them to the wolves. What I mean is you can state your piece. You can state your opinion, what you feel. You can reiterate what you tried to teach that person, but then you let them have the last say because they are living out those consequences, not you. It's hard, and I get it, but it is in fact necessary, and life isn't easy. So when you become an adult and you now have adult children, and I'm with you because my daughter's 18 and my son is 12, which means he'll soon be 18. And 18 is arbitrary. It's just what this country has picked. And there are certain states that have picked 19, certain states that have picked 21. The point is, by the time a person reaches 21 in all states of this country in which we live today, the United States, that person is now responsible for their own decisions. It doesn't mean that they're mentally prepared automatically. What it means is your time is up to force them to do anything. You could say things, but you can't make them. No one is going to enforce it. You were supposed to have put that in them before Now, there are lots of reasons why you might not have been able to. Life happens, circumstance happens, but the thing is, it shouldn't be as pervasive as it is today. This isn't a video about marriage. This is today a video about single mother thoughts. I want to make it clear that I am a proponent of marriage. I am a child of marriage. My parents were married and well into a marriage before I was even conceived. I grew up my first 11 years of life seeing a two-parent household. We weren't in an affluent neighborhood there, but they did have resources. The resources just weren't liquid on both sides of the family. They both had assets and resources. It just wasn't cash. And we went through a lot. And a lot of that was caused by slavery, war, because I'm 37 and my parents were 30 and 31 and a half when I was born. So they're older. My grandparents and that generation was a part of the greatest generation. And then my parents are baby boomers. So I don't have any. I have relatives that are part of the silent generation, but they're not my parents or grandparents. Anyway, the point for all of that, yes, I do know those designations were made by a different culture. However, it matters because that's where we live today. Those are the rules that we follow. So it does permeate our culture as well, unless and until we make our own distinctions. And you're going to need to have some backup as to why you are making different distinctions. Now, if that's something that we're interested in doing, I could do that because, I like researching and I love history. But, point being, this is a video that I'm going to title Single Mom Thoughts. What I'm hoping is that others, I like to think that I do a good job as being a single mom. I know that there are other single mothers who are very, very vocal. They get much more attention than me, and it's a negative light that they cast on all of us. I'm not trying to say that it's ideal or even anything that we should strive towards. But since we have it, what I hope is that I give some type of reference about how to manage and make it through, and also the reasons why and how it could still benefit the culture. It was one instance in my life. Does everyone share that? No, but a lot of people do. So married men, you got to stay with it. Even divorced women, you now are single. Oh no, I like Britney Spears. All right, don't judge me. It's not like you can take my black card anyway, because look, see that? Can't take it. Anyway, so the point is, my goal is that I want to make sure that if you're going to have to raise kids alone, you have a positive thought process, that you raise well-rounded kids. Even in my 30s, I still have trouble with R's sometimes. So my goal is that you contribute to society in a positive manner. Yes, I know we get a lot of flack, and I'm saying to find a coping skill so that you can ignore it like I had to. I did not escape the flack, no matter the reason or how I became a single mom. There are some people that feel like I deserve some leeway, and then there are some people that say, okay, whatever, it doesn't matter, the results are the same. The thing is, with me personally, it doesn't matter because it exists, it happened. So I don't spend a whole lot of time trying to earn the approval of those people. I focus my life on making sure that my kids are okay. Being raised in a family with two parents in the same home initially, and then having it ripped away from you, I'm a child of divorce. It does have an impact on you. Just like my kids, their dads, because there are two, their dads, their parents, and their childhood had an impact on them. And the combination of those things, mine and theirs, did not work out. I will say it wasn't a decision being taken lightly. And so I do speak out against a lot of the things that are put in place to help, that did help me, not because I'm unappreciative. I am extremely grateful, and I'm sure my kids are. But I don't want it to become a crutch. If I, praise those things, personally, I feel like that's me telling people that it's okay, that you can go out and recreate this for fun. It's not a fun thing. I am offended when I hear women that say, oh, I'm the mom and the dad, I can do it, I'm fine. Because to me, that means that they're taking everything that was hard for me and feeling like it makes you better than me because you were so strong and excited to do it. To me, it means that you're saying that this is something that people can choose, and it's okay to choose, and that I'm just being a big baby. So I'm offended. I knew that I was going to need help because that's what I saw. And for people who were raised in a single parent home and they didn't know any different and they grew up and they did it anyway, it still shouldn't be a choice. Your parents were doing you a disservice if they did not explain to you how hard it is, how the struggle is. And also, as a kid that knows both sides, maybe I'm biased because I did have the two-parent home first and then it was taken away. But if you had the single-parent home and then that was taken away and your parent got married or whatever, or even maybe they married the father and now they're in the same home, you have a unique perspective, and I think you should do your own video to talk about that. Maybe you would agree with some of the things that I'm going to say here, maybe you wouldn't, but the point is, it's yours to explain and not mine. With that being said, when I view the world, when I view interactions with other people, I view it from a single mom. That's the biggest component as of what I am as an adult. The second component is what I had as a child. So it's a big component, but it's less than what happened as an adult. I will say that my childhood did impact how I became a single mom and what I did with that lifestyle. Was it a choice? Yes. But I think that you guys need to understand that the other choice wasn't a marriage. That was not a choice given to me. That was a choice that was given to other people, but I was not given that choice. It's something that I knew would be appropriate, something that I wanted. But that choice was held from me, and we could talk about why later. That's not the point of this video. So when I look at things, I do have a certain thought process. I uploaded a video a while ago, and the title was "Let Single Mothers Focus and Prioritize Raising Their Kids." I happen to have thought that was a good video. So today what I'm going to be talking about is why I hold certain thought processes about single parenting. There was a guy that came on my comment section, and he had MGTOW in the name, men going their own way. I feel like if your own way should not include my YouTube page, but okay, my YouTube page was not on your path. You came over here willingly, so you're not going your own way. You're going away to punish women still. And I'm gonna call MGTOW headquarters and report them because you're not on code. Find some business, okay? But he went through so many comments with all of these little links about statistics and single parenting, and I'm like, okay. What I found interesting is he didn't even get the point. His links that he was posting supported my video, in my opinion, because I'm telling y'all to stay out of the faces of single moms. Leave them alone. They do need a job if you're not going to come over and take care of the kids. If you don't want to be called the cleanup man, then don't. But what you are doing is getting in the way of her taking care of those kids, and the kids were innocent. There were two people that created those kids, and I'm not bashing either side. It doesn't matter which side was in the wrong, because there's a kid now that's growing up that's being told that this is either okay to do. Because as a single mom, the thing that other people don't get is that for every success, if you make it out and you raise your kids, you're going to get exponentially greater amounts of pushback and so many barriers just being thrown in your way for leisure, because you're being viewed as telling kids that it's okay to do. They cannot see it as a redemption story, as overcoming. I've never asked or required any man to show up and help me with my children. They have fathers. And I deal with what the choices were on my behalf, as well as and including theirs. I'm not looking to share blame, but I don't think I should shoulder it all. One or both of us could have conceded, and I bent over backwards. So for one, I didn't place them on child support initially. During the breakup, we had a conversation because of the personality type that I have. I asked them how involved they wanted to be. What does this mean for the children? After we got through the stuff about us as adults breaking up in a romantic relationship. The second conversation I had with them was about, okay, so what do we do with the kids going forward? I like to think that I co-parent well with the fathers. And the reason is because I let them have a say, because they had a say so initially. So my daughter, who's 18, her dad, he's a cop. Nothing about my personality matches with that. And he did cop things in the relationship even before he was a cop. I am not capable of having a cop in my face 24/7. Not wayward or anything. I can't do it. I don't have any plans for illicitry or any of that. It's just, I don't want to hear the talking points of a cop 24/7. We broke up because he had that suspicious nature. I always knew that was a job that was gonna fit him. We have a daughter, so he conceded to me because she's a girl, and he's said on many occasions that he's proud of the way that I raised her. And even though we weren't married, he tells people that I'm his ex-wife. I've never required him to say that. I tell him that let's just go ahead and be honest. I don't know if he gets anything out of that, and I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful for him giving me that status. But, I put it out there just in case, because people like to research things. And they're going to find that there wasn't a full marriage certificate. We didn't go through with the whole thing before I got pregnant. And I can make another video later if I need to. But the point is, I placed him on child support not initially, but eventually. Because when we met, I was 17, he was 18. He had a job. But that wasn't enough to sustain a baby. I was the voice of reason. I knew all of that. But I got told that I wasn't being submissive. And I got told to let him lead. That he felt like it meant I didn't trust him. I cared. It would be wrong of me, and it would be a lie for me to say I didn't. So I gave him his chance. It didn't work out. Okay. So now what do we do? So he had to go through this whole identity crisis, this growing pains that I didn't get to go through as the mom. I was pregnant, so I had to still, behave myself. But it didn't matter. I don't feel slighted by that, because I wasn't going to do like all of the stuff that you can't do when you're pregnant. I wasn't interested in doing it anyway. I wasn't doing it before I got pregnant, so whatever. We have conversations. He calls me because as a cop, when he interacts with teenagers, he initially begins to worry. And he is interested in his daughter's well-being in his life. So I don't mind when I get the late night calls that he just came off of a call and he saw something crazy that a teenager was doing, or he had to interfere in or save or whatever. And so when I'm in a relationship, that has been a source of contention, but eventually they come around. Not because I made them, but because I talked to them about how that is him being a dad. He's not talking to me about us. He's talking to me about, is our child at risk for this? He worries. So I talk him down off the ledge, and I think that his wife should understand that, because y'all have kids, and he's going to do the same thing for them. You knew he had a child. I don't have a problem with her. See, that's what happens when things are settled. Now, there are people around me that have a problem with her, but I have denounced that and I don't participate in that. They don't even call me and tell me anymore. And I don't tell them anything that, he worries about. I talk to him and I give advice for his household now as well. And that's because of what I do for a living. If you have a husband who has a ex-wife who's a lawyer and he finds himself in trouble, would you let him call her so that it could be free and save your household money? That's how I look at it. So the point for that is that he does ask about our daughter, and I talk him down and I let him know, yes, we had a conversation about what we believe parenting should be, and I held my word, and I need you to also be supportive. So initially I did not place him on child support, but when he went through his little growing pains before the wife, though, because I'm grateful that he found a woman that calmed him and now he can be an actual father and husband. We just didn't make it. They're actually a good match. She has a little bit, like, she reminds me of me, a younger version, but much more to the extreme. So I think that that's a good match, and I'm happy for them and their kids. I don't know why I'm not upset, but anyway, the point is, when I placed him on child support, it was to prove a point. When we were together, when I got pregnant, I did not have a job. I was in school. We had a plan. We were both supposed to go to school and network. He got there and didn't handle it well. I did the best I could to help him through that, but at some point it started to hurt me, so I had to go. So even then, I didn't place him on child support, but I had to initially, because he didn't get the point that when you have a kid, you have things that you need to do. And so me doing that, I like to believe, helps him to raise my daughter and her kids. My son's dad, I didn't place him on child support initially because he has a lot of support. He's a very social person, so there's lots of people that are willing to help him. And in terms of, like, so he went off and got married, and I was raising both my kids. He was a great stepdad, but when I got pregnant and I was having a boy, something happened. I don't know, like, he just now all of a sudden wanted to follow dreams and all of this kind of stuff, and had these thoughts about get rich quick schemes. And I was fairly stable because I had finished the degree and I had a career, and I needed him to not, and I wanted to talk to him about his son needing an actual stable role model, but that's just not his personality. He is a very animated, all over the place person. We didn't work out. So his wife, and they had a daughter or whatever, he did not concede to me. Apparently I was supposed to concede to him, so I gave him that because our child was a boy. But up to a point. Certain things I do not want my son to learn. But anytime I talk to anybody, it's kind of like, well, that's part of being a man. You don't get it. So he automatically gets, the benefit of the doubt. And so I have not found any support to say that I get to be right, no matter how many male relatives, friends that I have. So I hope for the best. And I am not opposed to acting up completely if things go wrong. With that being said, I didn't put him on child support because I had more money than him anyway. That's not me bragging. That's just me being practical. He wasn't going to be able to pay it. I didn't want to have to look my son in the eyes and say that I ran your dad into the ground. But when he got married, I was happy for him. People around me were not. I didn't have a problem with her. She had a problem with me. There was nothing illicit going on, but he did, because I stopped since it bothered her. He calls me for advice as well because of what I do for a living. Also, the field that he's in, I understand that I'm kind of good at it. So, 2 reasons that have nothing to do with us. Now, because that was a relationship where we were friends first, I do know how to help him feel better with words. And I think that if she married him, she needs to learn how to do that. I don't have a problem with telling her, but I will not be disrespected. And she is going to be an appropriate role model for my son, or she is going to get out of his face. Now, with all of that being said, I ended up having to put him on child support because she didn't want us to talk. And then he got crazy. Like, all over the place. Irresponsible. All of the things that I did not want for him. But he's grown, so I can't tell him anything. I placed him on child support so that I didn't have to talk to him and listen to all of the disrespect, because for whatever reason he just like decided to attack me all of a sudden. Doesn't matter why. The point is, I don't have to put up with that. So now, has he paid any child support? No. My daughter's dad, he paid child support, but I never raised it once. And the reason is because if I needed something for her, like her school supplies, if I came up short, if she was going on a trip, for her birthday parties, he helped. I didn't have to raise child support because if I needed anything, I could call him and I would tell him why. And then towards the end, it got to the point where he didn't even question me anymore. Now, why did he trust me? I don't know. You have to ask him. But I do know that I kept my word and I did with it what I told him I was going to do with it. And I didn't keep using that, and I didn't go far, into like trying to get stuff for me, because I'm an adult, and if I didn't like him and I didn't want to stay with him, me personally, I wouldn't want him to still support anything that I have to do, because I'm gonna do it myself. That's part of it. Otherwise, why would I have left? So I never raised it, not once. He has never had to go to jail for child support. We only had to go to court that first point. And even then, I didn't know that you could get back child support and all of that. He showed up to court and acted up in front of the lawyer people, and so they punished him. I didn't know that you could get, because at the time, back then, this was what, 2000, 2001, I didn't know that you could get their tax refund. I didn't do that. He caused that to himself when he argued with the court staff. I was the one, even though all of the insults he was hurling at me, I was the one trying to get him to calm down. So they saw that. So just so you guys know, when you go to court, they do watch you. And they don't like that attitude. So with my son's dad, he's never paid child support, not one red cent. Never. No tax refunds, no nothing. You know why we don't argue? Why? Because the thing that we had trouble with was, if you aren't gonna pay, I didn't press the issue because I knew he didn't have it. And he happened to have married a woman who could be nothing but a burden. She added nothing to his life or her kids. So I didn't want to go to child support court and tell those people that we can't work it out. I kind of feel like I don't want them to think more black people just need our help all of the time. So I did what I needed to do. There's never been any shortage of any boyfriends that I've had that were unwilling to help me with my kids. They took care of me. They were there for me. And the fathers were there for their kids. And a boyfriend that was there for me also helped with the kids from time to time. But they never overstepped their boundaries. And I didn't require them to. They knew exactly what that relationship was. Now, how did that not end up where we're still together? It was actually other things that came in the way. Not my kids, not the dads. It was life circumstance. One had to move away for a job. Another, his mom was like, no, I don't care. And she was a single mom. He actually was a good man for me and my kid, because I only had one at the time. And he, talked to me because we had that conversation. He said to me, well, I was that kid of a single mom, and some of her boyfriends hurt me because I just wanted a dad. and I'm never going to do that to anyone. And he literally was an amazing stepdad. But his mom, because he wasn't from here, he moved here for college. And so when his mom came to visit, she didn't want him to do that. So I had to respect that. But he was an amazing guy. And so there were some others, like other things got in the way, because you don't live in a bubble. Life happens. And since then, I just have been taking time to, like, do some other stuff in the community that I've always wanted to do anyway. Like, that's a thing that I like doing. So I was like, okay, well, since I'm single, I might as well do something I think is fun. And that's how all of this started. Oh yeah, so single mom thoughts, right? So there are a couple of things that I think that could be helpful while you're raising your kids. MGTOW guys, you're not doing anyone any favors. Let's just call it what it is. You are a Cancer, a ball on the ass of society. If you think that you're doing anyone any justice by smutting out single moms, however they got in that predicament. As a man, if you're going to lead, you should not think that it's okay, whether they come on to you or not, whether they're looking for a come up or not. You can, in fact, say no. You can, in fact, just not do it. Shouldn't you be focusing on something else? But no, because you're going your own way because other women didn't want you either. Don't come in my comments with that. So anyway, stupid little links or whatever, and like that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid, but you're getting in the way of it because you like to have something to complain about, because you're a miserable person and you just need an excuse for your misery. But we all see through it, just so you know. Okay, enough about MGTOW. For me, I did have dreams before I became a single mom. But the first dream I ever had was being a mom. Did I want to be a wife and a mom? Well, I can say that when I was that age, around 5 or 6, and I would play with my dolls and everything, I knew that there had to be a man somewhere to achieve that. But the thing that made me the happiest was raising the kids. Growing up in my environment, I didn't see a lot of two-parent households, but I had one. And what that did to my thought process was, yes, kids need guidance, and we're innocent, and we just love, and we need help and to be taken care of. And I want to do that for kids when I become an adult. I would see, like, my dad was there, but I would see other people, and I know that every now and then I'd see a man come around for that house, and then he would go away, but then there would be this baby now. I put 2 and 2 together. I didn't know all of the logistics about how it worked, but I do know that you needed one, and then he may or may not stay, but the baby still exists and you can still raise it. With that being said, when I had these thoughts, it was a man there. I was raising the kids, and he would come in the morning, we'd eat breakfast together, and he'd go off and do something else, and then me and the kids would have our adventure that day. That's how I played pretend as a kid with my dogs. I had the birth certificates and everything. And I had a job, but I worked from home. That's what I saw in my parents. My dad had a job. He was working. It just wasn't enough sometimes. And, things got tense. I didn't know then why or what the arguments were, and I know the feeling watching it. And then I know sometimes you never know whether or not it's going to be the last one. And then there you get that one where it's okay, so it's not coming back this time. And you have questions, you have theories about why, but nothing ever gets confirmed. With that being said, that was hard to become an adult and try to make it work. My kids were worth it. Whatever dream I had after that, because that was the first dream, was to raise kids. And everything after that paled in comparison. So they were worth it, just being them. And their personalities are hilarious. I mean, my kids, you're not going to just talk to them and say anything. And I, for one, approve of it. I taught them that. I put that there for a reason. Help doesn't make it okay. And you don't get time. And even though help doesn't make it okay, like, there's still the pain there. And you need to, and you deserve, and you have a duty and a responsibility to take time to yourself to be okay. You have kids that are now counting on you. The thing that I've noticed in divorced parents is that sometimes the mom thinks that means that she now has understanding and rationale for just giving up, for just sitting there and crying and lashing out at everybody because at least I tried, right? But as a kid of a divorce, we still needed y'all. So to me, that's even worse. Because I think that in that instance, even though you feel the worst out of the situation, you have no reason to feel bad because you did in fact try. If you really view that as a success, then you need to behave as such. And you have kids. You can cry once they're adults and they go. Save it all for the graduation, and then we'll all just call it tears of joy. But if you have minor kids still in your home, it's why people wait until the kid goes off to college to divorce. But if you can't handle it, and there's nothing wrong with that, with admitting that, it's just what happens next. And your support system needs to be there for you to do so. And if they're not, then they're in the wrong. I hope this sounds like the support that I mean it to be. I'm telling you that we notice and we still need. We didn't have anything to do with that decision. We didn't ask to be here. And a lot of times you didn't consult us when y'all made that decision. We have our own emotions. It was heartbreaking to go from one thing to the next in a day's notice, and you don't get to ask questions. You don't get to, because your whole feeling is disrespect, right? You're not trusting the adults to make the appropriate decisions. Whatever. It had nothing to do with that. There was no logic in that. It was complete emotion. And so you need to heal so that you can help us. I'm talking to y'all from that point of view. I fully know that I'm 37. Fathers have rights. This is where that support system comes in. And if they don't want to do it and they're too busy, this is why that system exists. And it is the only time that I think it should be utilized. Fathers have rights, but fathers, you also have responsibility. Do not just leave because you can't handle the woman. You need to stay and you need to figure it out. Moms, fathers have rights. You don't get to get rid of them because you don't like something that they say or do. You need to figure it out. That to me is maturity. One or both of you needs to concede. It will be preferable for the kids if you came to an actual consensus, but if you cannot, one of you is going to have to take that L. That is the resolution. That's all I have. I don't have another alternative for you until the kids are adults, and then you can hate each other, but do not bring the children into that. We don't want to hear it. We don't care. We don't have an answer. And if you force us to have an answer, any answer that we come up with, any side that we take is a damage. It is going to have a problematic impact going forward for not only the child, but also you. They have rights. You guys have responsibilities. You are not permitted to continue sleeping with one another. It causes problems for everyone involved. You are not allowed to continue sleeping with this person and then add in somebody else. You need to pick one, in or out. And the reason is because for my birthdays, for my important events, somebody is going to have an emotion and they're an adult, so they feel like nobody can check them, and they're going to show up and ruin something for me to get back at you. It's not okay. And so then when I'm an adult, I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to invite you anywhere until you give me the apology and the acknowledgement for the fact that you played a part in that. Not just one, but both. In terms of my own life, one parent has. One parent has given me the acknowledgement. One parent, I didn't require him to apologize. I'm not requiring either side to apologize. What I am saying is to acknowledge and know that it has an impact and understand what that does to me, and then give me some understanding for when I can't have something now as my own adult because of what you did. Did I do everything right with my kids? Probably not. I'm not berating my parents. I love them. But only one is thinking about me. And I think about that parent. The other one, I just hope that parent doesn't die going to their grave still trying to prove a point. Which I'll do a video later on about the impact of what happens when you still try to live in revenge. Because it's not going to come. You are not going to ever be made whole. But what you can do is not steal slices out of other people's pie that they don't have to spare. Interactions with the new spouse. Why? No, think about why. When you interact with that person, there needs to be a reason. Either it's fellowshipping because everything is okay and you're together at the same event. You're not going to be friends. You should not be friends, but you can be cordial. You can even do things together, but understanding and keeping in your brain how that relationship began, who this person actually is in relation to you. When you talk to them, when you interact with them, you need to keep in your mind as to why. What is the goal? Because otherwise, it's weird. Are there ex-wives and wives who get along and they hang out? Sure. But these are also close-knit families to where they're going to see each other regularly. So that's not the only thing that's happening. Yeah, they might go to lunch together, but they also are going to end up at the same family reunion 3 months later. So otherwise, just call it for what it is. You don't get to front and pretend, because otherwise it even if you don't have a nefarious, motive initially, it lends itself to the possibility, and there will be other outside things that come up and give you that opportunity, and now you have to be strong enough to walk away. And how many people do you know actually are? So I have nothing against their spouses. We can be cordial, but we're not best friends, because I don't have that relationship with those fathers to where we still see each other every couple of months or every couple of weeks or whatever. That's not what we do. My personality doesn't lend itself to that. I'm not necessarily just planted in one place all of the time, so that's not going to be a reality for me. If I had the personality where I was always at the same place all of the time, and they would come over and we would have that relationship, then fine. Of course the wife can come over. I've never banned them from my house except for the second one after she got disrespectful. But I don't just call them and we go shopping together and then I don't see the dad till next year. That's why? It's weird. Finally, all of these things have in common is the don'ts. Don't be desperate. You should be planning. You should be doing things, having goals, seeing them through to the end. That way you don't have to be desperate. That way you have somebody who understands and who is supportive. And if you don't have that, whatever goal you have toward the end, one of those goals should be being able to be stable so that you don't have to be desperate, because it's not fun and you don't want your kids to see that. It's not a good thing. And I know y'all try to bring that up and say, oh, well, the kids need to know that there's a punishment for being single parents. Yeah, but they also need to know that it's something that's forgivable and that their birth wasn't a mistake. So desperation should be used as a last resort when you are truly in dire straits. Don't be reactionary. Everything impacts you. Everything needs a response that's loud. No, there are things that need a response, and there are some things that I ignore because, listen, I'm not going to get crow's feet dealing with y'all because you have a feeling. Some things I don't react to. I literally have certain things in my life that I do not have an emotional reaction towards. I don't have an answer for. I don't feel or think anything. The answer is nothing. I don't. Yes, it is a real thing. If someone asks me how I feel about certain specific things in life and I say I don't, it's real. I have not thought about it. I don't have a thing to say about it. So in conclusion, that's how I'm still able to get up and smile. That's how I was able to raise what I like to think are two well-rounded kids. How I was able to effectively co-parent. How I was still like, and I will say, I'm the one that said that I needed to not date while my kids were young. Men were like, "Nah, I'll help." No, and then I get these comments that from men that I date that say, "Well, why can't my baby mama, my ex-wife, be like that?" And I have to quell the arguments between the dads and the new guy, because they literally do feel like I shouldn't have to go through that. But that is because they know me. I don't tell them anything negative. They know what they see. It takes them a while to come to that conclusion. That is not something to brag on, because it's not a fun position to be in. You can't brag unless you are happy with the position. What I am saying is that it is possible. So I took a break because it was hard. It was a lot of work trying to keep that from happening, trying to make sure everybody's not fighting and arguing. It's a thing I felt like I owed to the children who didn't ask to be here. But I am saying that there are men that are okay with it. There are men that genuinely don't have a problem with dating single moms. The thing is, it can't be you're expecting them to fix something that somebody else broke. That's just my opinion. And there are men who don't care and won't do it, and that's fine. That is their absolute preference. I am not going to try to convince you otherwise, because it's your life and you have to live it. I know that if I try to convince you otherwise, I'm not going to want to make you whole. I'm not going to want to put in the effort to make sure it's okay. That's a lot. You need to already be okay with it or not. I'm being honest and letting you know that I'm not going to invest a whole lot into that. And that another thing is, because you're an adult, you get to choose. So I would not approve of some of the things that I see single mothers doing. And that's why I do speak against some things that seem to be in my best interest, but they are actually not. So, with that being said, I guess that's all I have here for today for Single Mother Thoughts. I don't know if this is common knowledge or not, but if you are watching this video, you can't say you've never heard it before. Bye.